what's going on, everyone? Before we get into our conversation, I want to let you know this podcast is sponsored by BetRivers.com. BetRivers.com, the best place for all your sports gambling needs. Also, don't forget to subscribe to the podcast. You can also watch all of these episodes on the Field of 68 YouTube channel. Now, let's get into our conversation. Hey, what's going on, everyone? This is Eric Devendorf, your host of the SCORER'S Table podcast. And today, me and my producer, Tim Leonard, are going to go through a recap of the Indiana game and the beginning of the Syracuse season.
Big game against Indiana. I know you were at the Dome, but gosh, that was an instant classic, double OT thriller there.
Yeah, big time game. Obviously, in the first half, we had a big lead, up 16 or 18 at half. Going to the second half, going up and down, get another big lead, and then give up that big lead going into the first overtime, then the second overtime. So I think it was a big win just for the team overall, showing that they could fight through the adversity, the ups and downs, making turnovers, losing the lead. They stuck together as a collective unit. We saw guys who didn't play the whole game, Frank coming off the bench, hitting 4 big free throws, other guys coming in, stepping up. So I think it was a big win for their confidence. And in Indiana, that's a good team. They came in 6-0, and obviously they have an NBA draft pick in their front court with Trey Jackson, I believe it is.
Trace Jackson Davis, yeah.
Yeah, Trace Jackson Davis.
He was legit.
31-16, and it seemed like he was hobbling a little bit. So it would have been scary to see what he was doing if he was healthy. But again, a huge win for Cuse. I think it just shows what type of team they can be, in that even though being up big and letting that lead go, still find ways to win.
Yeah, I bet it was rocking in the Dome there. I guess you probably had to run at some point, right, for the post-game stuff, but there's nothing like getting 20, 25, 30,000 in the Dome and trading buckets like that. When I was watching, I was just thinking, man, this would have been a fun one to be at. Like, I wish I was there right now.
Absolutely. Well, I mean, not a ton of defense, right?
Yeah.
110 and 112 points, but I guess it was a fans game, right? Because it was a lot of scoring. It was a lot of deep 3-pointers, a lot of dunks, a lot of exciting plays. So again, I just think these guys should be proud of themselves for continuing to fight and not giving up. I mean, it could be super deflating when you're up 18, give that big lead up, then go up again, double digits, and then give that lead up again. They could have just quit, but they didn't. They stuck together and they found out how to win. And even at that, the end of the regulation, when we gave up that free throw, the rebound on the free throw line, it was a freshman, right? It was an All-American who went over his back. And I mean, that's not easy to do, is to box out a guy like that. So you got to give Indiana credit, but let's give Cuse credit for continuing to fight and sticking with it and finding a way to pull it out.
All right, so I got 6 burning questions on the season so far here. I try to think of some positive stuff, maybe a little bit of stuff that we're worried about at this stage in the season, but I feel like we're kind of at a point now where I guess there's 7 games in. They're sort of technically kind of starting ACC play on Saturday against Florida State, but we're at a stage now where we've seen some of these newcomers, but it's also still early for a lot of the guys as well. So these are kind of overreactions, whatever you want to call them, but we'll start with a positive one. The first burning question: is Jesse Edwards playing the best a Syracuse center has played since Rakeem Christmas? Because, man, has he turned a corner in these last 3 games.
Yeah, and the answer is yes. I mean, obviously, Syracuse is a guard-oriented school, right? We're not the type of team to throw it into our big every time and look for him to score. But if we have a guy that can do it and he can score down on the block, we want to give him touches, because we talked about it on the radio show the other day. When your bigs get touches, now they want to play harder defensively. Now they want to set harder screens for you. They want to get open. And I think Jesse has done a great job of showing us that he does have that potential to get the ball and score. And then we saw it go translate to the other side, on the defensive side, where he's blocking shots. He's deflecting passes. He's getting rebounds. So yeah, I think Jesse, he is a guy probably since Rakeem Christmas that was able to get the ball and really score down low like that. And no one expected this from Jesse, right? Is obviously his first 2 years, he was growing. He was trying to still figure out, his role and how he could add value to the team, but he's found it. And, he's found it. He's comfortable. You can see his confidence is sky high. He fouled out, obviously, I think before regulation was over against Indiana, but 17, 6, 5 steals, 3 blocks. I mean, the kids, he's playing super impressive. I'm super impressed how he's playing. And, I think if he can just continue this, it gives us more of a inside out balance. Obviously our team right now is so 3-point shooting oriented. We need that balance. We got to have that guy who could get into the lane and draw the defense. So now we have more open space for our shooters. And I think if Jesse could command that double team when he gets the ball, or just, keep guys aware of him. Like when he has the ball, they have to turn their head and look at him. Then that just adds more value for our team. Now we could have that inside out balance. And I think if we can find that guy who could really get into that lane and kind of get in those gaps on the defense, it's going to help us even more and help our shooters out even more as well. But I mean, Jesse has impressed me in the Bahamas. I mean, in these teams that he's playing against, they're not bad teams. We saw the Bahamas, VCU, Auburn, and who was the other team they played against?
Arizona State. Yeah.
Arizona State. And then coming against Indiana, against a big time. This guy he's playing against is a first round draft pick, in my eyes. So for him to come out there and play how he's playing, that's awesome, man. It just goes and kudos to the coaching staff at Syracuse for developing this guy, sticking with him, being patient. And then kudos to him for not being one of those guys who's just going and transferring right away because the first 2 years didn't go his way. He stuck it out. He's, he went through the process, and he's continued to learn and get better. And that's awesome for him and for our team.
It's like how it should be, how it used to be, a guy coming in, struggling, and then making it. So I looked it up. Last 3 games, he's averaging 18.3 points per game, and he's 23 for 26. He just doesn't miss shots. I mean, right now he's 82% from the floor on the season, which I think is number 1 in the nation as of us recording this anyway. He's also getting 6 rebounds in the last 3 games, and he's blocking about 2.5 shots a game. And what's amazing is it took him 40 games to reach double figures twice in his career. And through 40 games, his career high was 11. And then he goes out and gets 17, 21, 17 in the next 3 games. It's flipped here. And I think it's pretty sustainable because it's not like it was against some of these lower teams at the start of the year. Like this picked up when the competition picked up as well. So I'm really excited about it.
Yeah. And one thing he's doing really good is he's making his move quick. He's not holding the ball and waiting for the other defender to come to where it makes it more difficult for him. He's getting it. He's making his move. He's going up. He's turning and going up. And then when he gets it in transition, he's keeping that ball high and not bringing it down. We saw against Arizona State, Joe made a great pass to him full court. He caught it above his head and didn't bring it down, just went up and dunked it. I mean, when you're 7 foot and you're able to do that, you should. So I think he's a smart basketball player. And now with him getting more touches, him scoring the ball, doing more things defensively, his confidence is just sky high. So now when he gets the ball, he's assertive and he's going right to it. And we see it, like you said, 23 to 26, 83% in the last 4 games or whatever it was.
Yeah.
He's playing awesome, man. And I think he'll just continue to get better, like you said, because these teams aren't walk in the park teams. Obviously ACC play coming up versus Florida State, and that's weird to me.
I know. I don't like
ACC.
it.
I know that's weird. We got Florida State, and then we play Cornell or something like, and then Lehigh. So I don't know what that's all about. But he's been playing tremendous, man. And I think the more reps he gets and the more games he plays, he's just going to continue to get better. Will he be 83% from the field? Probably not. But he'll be up there. He'll be up there because he shoots high percentage shots, and like I said, he does a great job of being assertive and keeping that ball high where most of the defenders can't get it.
Right. Yeah. I don't know why they do these early games. I remember one year when I was at school, it was Virginia in the first game. And you probably remember this, but it was, I think, 48-34. Syracuse lost. And it was just I remember Beiheim in the press conference afterwards was like, this was just a waste of time. Like, why are we counting this in the first game? And I'm with him. Even now, I guess it's early December. But still, it's kind of just weird that this counts against your conference record, because then you just both teams resume non-conference play until December 29th after that.
Yeah, I don't really know why they did that. I just think sometimes it could be, you're playing a big, huge game, Virginia or Florida State, whatever, and then no disrespect to the other teams, but then you come back and play Lehigh, and this is what we signed up for as college athletes. You have to be ready regardless of who it is, what team it is, and what situation. Or you go play Madison Square Garden, and then you go play Cornell. You got to be ready to play. But it is weird to me. I just thought those 12 non-conference games, those are prepping you for conference play, and then once those 12 are done, then we hop into conference play. It's all spotty right now. So I don't know. It is what it is. I don't know why they did it, but they just have to deal with it. Let me tell you guys a little bit about our partners over at Bet Rivers Sportsbook. If you haven't signed up with Bet Rivers yet, now's the time, because they are offering a $250 match bonus for your first deposit. But what sets them apart is that they require just one playthrough to turn your bonus into cash money. With their new Rush Pay instant approval, withdrawing your winnings is safer, more secure, and more reliable. With basketball season right around the corner, there's never been a better time to get in on the action by going to betrivers.com today or downloading the Bet Rivers iOS app. Must be 21 years or older. Gambling problem? Call telephone number 1-800-GAMBLER.
All right, question number 2 now. This might be the biggest question right now in terms of what Syracuse needs to go right going forward. I'll keep it just simple. How does the defense get better?
Well, yeah, those are the two things are defense and rebounding. I mean, obviously, those are the things that we have to get much, much better at. I think defensively, it's just guys continue to figure out their spots, their rotations, where they have to be. When the ball's on the wing, where do I have to be? When it's in the high post, because now once they start knowing, now the rotations, the drops get a little bit quicker. A lot of the times you see that we know it, but we're just not there on time. They get into the high post, that short corner is there. We're not dropping on time. Now they get it. And now we're getting a situation where we're almost there and we're trying to block the shot, but now it's a foul and an and one, because we're late. And the same thing with the corners. We've seen a lot of corner threes this season. I think guys, they're getting confused who's dropping, who's supposed to go to the corner. So if there's a short corner, that forward's dropping. And then if there's another corner in the deep three, that guard has to come all the way over. And now the other guard rotates up top. And then same thing with those other forwards. They got to rotate to where he's taken under the rim. So it's just about knowing the rotations, getting comfortable with it. And I think coaches, he's still trying to figure out what team or what unit is best defensively as well. You see Symir coming in there. He's great up top. He's active. And I like what he's been doing the past few games as far as offensively, just pushing the pace. He just gives us a different look than when Joe's in the game. But I think overall, it's just knowing defensively where we have to be. Now, when we see the ball, we could go half a second earlier and get to that drop. And now our guard, he knows we're there, so he can get to that corner. So it's just little things, man. And I we hear it the whole season, like, well, this isn't the fastest and most athletic team. No, it's not. And when you are faster and athletic, a lot of those mistakes you can make up for quicker, just because you could get there in shorter amount of time. You're long, you're athletic, so you're eating up that space to be able to get there. So we don't have that, have that advantage this year. So we just have to know it inside and out. And these guys will. I mean, these are smart basketball players. Jimmy Beiheim just came from Cornell. He has a degree from Cornell. I mean, Buddy, Joe, all those guys are smart guys. And I think another thing that could really help us in the zone is getting Benny acclimated a little bit more. I think he's the most athletic guy on the court a lot of the times, regardless of who we're playing. He's just a super athlete. And I think, we saw in the beginning of the year where he comes from the weak side and get those big blocks. He could really help us defensively, and he could really help us on the boards. And I think somebody asked me yesterday, how can he really get going? And I said, on the defensive end, that's where if he can create something on the defensive end, get those rebounds, then I think his confidence is going, back down the other way on offense. And now when he's rolling offensively, I think everything just kind of comes together. So for him, really focus on that defensive side of the ball, be everywhere, fly, get to the corner, take away shots, contest, rebound. And I think if he does that, his confidence will just, grow to the other end of the floor. But overall, just knowing the zone, knowing your rotations, knowing the spots. And I think it'll continue to get better and better as the season goes forward.
What did you make of what they were doing with Buddy at the start of that Indiana game, where he's hanging out by the free throw line, and coach kind of called it like a 1-1-3 afterwards? It almost sort of looked like a 1-3-1 at times, but
well, it was.
Yeah. I don't know the proper definition, but the bottom line is they made a tweak there, and I guess my question is like, did you guys ever work on stuff like that when you were at Cuse as a player, or is there sort of more variations to the zone than maybe the average fan would understand?
Oh, there's going to be tons of variations.
Yeah,
It's
I
funny
bet.
because when I went to Detroit Mercy, we did the 2-3 zone, but Coach Davis did that same thing. He called it an I, right? So he'd have the one guy up top, and then so the other guys basically in the high post just trying to take that away right away.
Mhm.
So we're not even playing any games. We're just telling them, hey, we're not going to let you have this pass. And obviously it was because of Trey Jackson Davis. What's his name again? I keep messing it up.
Trace Jackson Davis. Yep.
Yeah, Trace Jackson Davis.
TJD.
Obviously,
Just go with that.
TJD. I mean, the previous game he had 43.
Yeah.
So they wanted to figure out a way to slow him down. And in the first half, they did. They did do that. It just when you do that with the eye, it puts more pressure on your wings because now we have to lift up more. And Indiana didn't really have outstanding 3-point shooters. They did have was it Cup or Coop? Number 12.
Oh yeah, Miller Kopp. Yeah, he was good.
Cop.
Northwestern guy.
Yeah. And he was getting a lot of his shots in the corner, the corner three.
Yeah,
so,
he was. And then Parker Stort was the guy who came over from Pitt. He was burning us up top. Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, it puts a lot of pressure on your wings to be able to get up high. And now when we're up high, we all know that backside of the zone is wide open for the lobs. And we saw it against Auburn. But I think Coach did a great job of just mixing it up. And that's a personnel thing. It's depending on, hey, is there shooters here? Is there a guy that's dominant in that middle? And Coach did a good job taking that away in the first half. Second half, we went back to normal, and he kind of dominated, right? So, but I think we did enough in that first half to slow him down to kind of put us in position going forward to win the game. So, Coach knows what he's doing, man.
Yeah, I would say so.
He knows what he's doing for sure.
Yeah, and I liked it because, I mean, I do think they sort of figured it out at a certain point, but the defense isn't great right now. So if you add a different wrinkle and you buy 5-6 minutes of decent defense, and then they got up and they got momentum, and you can say what you want. I mean, they lost the momentum, but that still helps overall because then Indiana's tired when they're chasing back into the game. So I'll be curious to see like how much they do it going forward. I do think it was personnel based. Like you said, you're not going to do it against some sharp shooting team with a lot of wing 3-point shooters probably. But it's nice to know that they have that. And also credit to Buddy because, like you said, these are smart basketball players, but it's one thing to, say you can do it. It's another to do it. And Buddy's the type of guy that you can say, all right, we're going to mix it up and throw you here, and you've got to be on top of it. And it seemed like he was active, and he was one of the guys that was forcing a lot of the turnovers. They forced 25 turnovers in this game. And I know you always say that about the zone, like, it's all about being active energy. And I did feel like there was a certain level of activeness and energy that they raised to in this game versus the Battle for Atlantis game. So maybe that's playing at home too.
Yeah, it could be obviously being, at home, having that home crowd behind you definitely gives you that energy. But I think just overall, when you're active in the zone, you're moving around, regardless of your athleticism, whatever it is. I wasn't the most athletic dude either, but I try to be as active as I can. And I think that causes disruptions for the offense. Now seeing that coming in, they didn't know we were going to play that eye. So right away, their game plan changes a little bit.
Yeah.
All right. Now, you know what I mean? Right in the beginning. So like you said, that 5-6 minutes where we were able to kind of control that game, control the game in the first half. That's a big difference for Indiana coming back because now they're using all that energy to come back and fight back and get the lead. And now how much gas do they really have left? And obviously they did a great job of fighting back, but yeah, those 5-6 minutes, those helped us for the rest of the game. And these guys, like I said, they'll continue to get better, man. If they just stay active, they communicate, they talk, because these guys coming in, this is their first year. Cole Swider, that's his first year. Benny Williams is playing the zone. So they got to learn on the fly. It's not an easy thing to do, especially when guys are whipping that ball around the perimeter. We saw Colgate, they were really moving the ball. Like I'm talking about efficiently. They got it in. That guy in the high post, he got it right back out. So guys are kind of going in, out, and move. And a lot of the times that confuses guys when the ball is passed that fast. So these guys are still learning. A coach is a Hall of Fame coach. You see him add a little wrinkle to the zone to help these guys out. It helped us going forward in the Indiana game. And, I think we'll be good going forward, man. And we'll have times where we break down, where we get out rebounded. That happens. But for the most part, guys will improve and get better. And then I think offensively, if we can't find that guy who could really penetrate the lane and create for himself and others, we need to do a better job of setting good screens. And I think, and I said this the other day, I think Jimmy can almost be like a penetrator, so to speak, from that mid post area. Not like he's penetrating, but when he gets the ball right there, he's a creative dude. And I think we saw early on that sometimes he commands that double team, and he's a smart enough guy to make that open pass to the shooter. So that could be another situation where you could kind of, it's like a penetration where you could kind of get him in that middle and try to draw the defense, to get somebody open. But we need that offensively, because if we're just, relying on guys to hit threes from around the perimeter, that's where the defense is going to be at. They're just going to stay there, and all those shots are going to be hard as hell to shoot. So we got to figure that out offensively, and then defensively, like I said, we'll continue to get better.
One thing I will say is they have the guy right now in Buddy who is crunch time. We know where the ball is going, clear it out. Like in that double overtime stretch, they literally just cleared out the right side of the court and they let Buddy do his thing. And it's pretty awesome because, Buddy wasn't supposed to be that guy when he came to Syracuse maybe, but here he is. He's playing like an All-American. That kind of brings me to the next question, which is just, should Buddy be an All-American at this stage? But I got to say, I was really impressed with the way that he playing on 50 minutes, had to be tired, is giving it all he's got on the defensive end in that game. And then, they clear it out for him, and it was like March Madness all over again. He's just getting to his spots. And yeah, he's maybe not the fastest guy off the dribble, but it's nice to have that guy, because you need one guy when the shot clock's going down, when it's, down by 2, late stages of a game. Like, it seems like Buddy is that guy right now, and teams are going to defend him really tight, but he's still getting his points.
And really, this is kind of, and let's say preseason All-American, first team All-ACC. He's got all the accolades in the beginning of the season. So he is the man. Like, he is the guy who's supposed to call for that ball. And you know what? I told him, I said, you got to be assertive. Like, if we don't have 4 or 5 possessions where we go and we don't score the ball, you got to call for the ball. You got to give me the ball. You know what I mean? And I think this Indiana game was really the first game that he was like, all right, let me see the ball. We saw those 3-4 times where he scored in a row, and that's who he is. Like, this is your team. I mean, you're the preseason All-American. You have all these accolades, so don't be afraid to get that ball, even if you do miss it. I just want to see you be assertive and take that role. And he did it, and he really ended up winning the game for us with those 3-4 possessions. Obviously, everything else going on played a part in the win, but it was awesome. It was awesome to see that, man. It was awesome to see him really kind of take control and kind of, because you look at Buddy, he's not a guy who's loud, and he's not going to be talking a lot, but every game you kind of see a little bit more and more of that emotion. You see a little bit more of that assertiveness in this Indiana game. I think for him personally, could kind of shoot him up as far as his confidence goes, and just how he plays going forward in the season. Because Indiana, again, that's a really good team. And we saw after that 4th position, they're sending that double team to him. That's a sign of respect right there. When they have to send 2 guys to him, it goes to show that, all the hard work that he's been doing has really been working. So I loved it for him, that he was just assertive and he went after it, because I think that's what type of guy he needs. That's what you have to be. When you're the man, you can't fall back when it's, crunch time or when you need a bucket. You need to go to that guy. Hey, I need this in the timeout, in the huddle. Hey, this is mine. I know what we're running, but give me the ball. Let me get it. And, he can be that guy going forward doing that.
Yeah, it was awesome. After, I think it was maybe the 2nd or 3rd time he scored on an isolation in that second overtime, he did let out a little bit of a yell, and, the crowd's going nuts. And it's just like, I don't know, you said it best. He had the preseason accolades. He is that guy, but that felt like a moment for him where it was like, okay, yeah, like he's really that guy. He's really the alpha of this team. And it's good to know that we have that guy, because all the great Syracuse teams have had a guy like that. I feel like that in the tournament, late stretches of game, you're going to have tight conference games. You need a guy that's going to get you but it's not going to always be him. I mean, the nice thing is a lot of these guys are really fearless. It seems like in crunch time, big moments, Joe will get up there. He'll hit some big shots. They hit some big free throws. Even Frank comes in, who you brought up. Like, all these guys stepped up when the team, I mean, we desperately needed that win, and to lose a 16-point lead, 18-point lead, it was the type of game that just felt like if you lost that, the season's in a different direction than how we're thinking right now.
No, absolutely. It was a huge win for our confidence. Just again, going back, this team figures out ways to win. I don't care who it is. You could be up big, then go down, and you could give up. They grinded it out, and it was a team effort. Like we said, Frank came off the bench, wasn't playing the whole game, and hit 4 big free throws. It just shows that these guys are locked in on the bench. They're not feeling sorry for themselves. They're not pouting. They make a mistake. They come out when they get their time, their opportunity to come back in. They're going to make the most of it. And going forward, I think we'll look back at this win as a key moment in the season, to where they really did take that step up as a team, and then personally for a lot of guys. And talking about Buddy, I think he believed in himself, right? He did believe in himself, but it's different when you do it and you make it happen. He knew he could do that, but now he really did it. He made it happen. Now going forward, he's not even thinking about it. He's like, all right, give me the ball. I've done this. I could do it. And now his teammates have that confidence in him even more. Like, all right, I got to give Bud the ball, and same thing with Joe. If Joe hit, I got to give Joe the ball, and those guys are feelers. They play like that. And we need them to be like that for the rest of our guys, for these freshmen, for Benny coming in. Oh man, my leader, he has that confidence in me. So now he has that confidence in himself. It's a big time for not only a few guys, but for the whole team to see that, because I think it's going forward. It just helps with everyone's confidence.
All right, next burning question here. Is this the best shooting team that Jim Beiheim has ever had?
I mean, we've had a lot of shooters.
I know. That's why I was interested to hear your answer, because he said that at the start of the year. And look, they're shooting great, but it's hard to say it's the best. I mean, it's definitely one of the best, I would say, right?
Yeah, we had years when I played. It was myself, Andy, Johnny. I guess if you're saying pure shooters, like more like this is what they're doing, maybe, yeah. But all these guys can shoot the ball, right? It's definitely one of the top 3-point shooting teams in Syracuse history for sure. Just percentage, and I guess going by pure shooters, Buddy, Jimmy, Cole, Joe, and then who else? Who else is coming off shooting it?
Well, those are really the 4 main guys.
Yeah, I mean, those are really
Benny, hopefully can develop that. I think Symir's hit a couple threes this year. He definitely hit one in the battle for Atlantis. So it's interesting. I'll give you the percentages here of the 4 guys. So Gerard is leading the way. He's got 54% from 3. He started out 8 for 8. He's been red hot. Jimmy's in second, 46%. Then it drops off. Buddy and Swider, they're just getting defended really tight, obviously, too. But Buddy's 30% from 3 so far. Swider's 28%. I think it's just fascinating because at the start of the year, I maybe would have reversed those percentages like entirely on what I was projecting almost. And that's probably not fair. I mean, we knew all the 4 of those guys were going to be good, but for Buddy and Swider to be your lowest 2, that might be encouraging that those guys aren't going to stay around 30%. I don't think so. That means they could even be better from 3. Now, Joe's not going to shoot at 54% for the year, but it's good to see that he's gotten off to the good start.
Yeah, and those 2 guys, they're getting defended differently, especially Buddy. Right. He's coming off the screen, they're double teaming, they're trailing him hard. So a lot of his shots are contested, off the dribble, contested shots. And if he does have a wide open shot, it's either in transition or it's going to be a good penetrating kick. But you can't, the percentages don't really tell you the whole story. I mean, I remember looking at G-Max percentage. He was like 34 or 33 one time, but he hits the biggest shots when you need them the most. You know what I mean? So percentages, they don't really tell the whole story at all. I mean, a guy could be, like you said, Joe was 8 for 8. Right. He was shooting 100% on the year, right? But a lot of those shots, and a couple of them were tough shots, but a few of them were just wide open. So percentages don't really tell the whole story. It's Buddy's getting defended probably as hard as he has ever been, this year. Obviously coming in with those accolades, you're going to get that type of defense. So and those percentages won't stay the same for, like you said, for Cole and Buddy. They'll go up, and you'd probably think they'll be in the 35, 36 range, and that's good, man. For
when you're shooting as much. Yeah,
when you're shooting a lot of shots and you have that type of percentage, That's good. And I think a lot of the guys who have those high percentages, like, 48, they're not shooting as many shots
now.
And if you are shooting many shots, shooting at that rate, you a straight shooter. You know what I mean? So, percentages don't really tell the whole story all the time.
Yeah. I mean, I think Buddy would probably beat Jimmy in a 3-point shootout. Maybe you've seen some of those. I mean, I'm sure they've done it before, but Jimmy shooting 46%, that is encouraging. And he's probably the guy that's benefiting the most because you just can't guard 4 shooters. If you're a team and you're scouting Syracuse, at a certain point, like, you can't guard all of them. And even though Jimmy probably has a slower release or a slower sort of windup than some of the other guys, he's still getting clean looks and he's knocking them down, which I don't think he was known. When he came to Cornell, looking at his 3-point numbers, it was like 29% last year that he played at Cornell. Now, he didn't play last year because of COVID, but he's shooting 46% to this point. He's probably not going to stay up there, but still, that's the guy that maybe we were most worried about. Was he going to be able to knock down open shots out of the 4? And he's definitely doing it right now.
Well, I know he's been working his butt off in the gym, getting his jumper right. I mean, he's been shooting with red, and obviously you could tell. But you gotta know he's at that 4 spot. So the guy guarding him, he's most likely going to be a little bit slower. He's obviously not going to be guarding like a guard. So Jimmy, he can play that position where he kind of gets in and then pops out, and that guy, he's not fast enough and quick enough to recover. So he's a guy who could really find spots. He can get to that short corner. You see a guy drive, then he's popping out to that corner 3. And the guy guarding him is usually he's not fast enough to recover. So if he can start hitting that consistently, we see them doing now, it just opens up everything for him. Now guys are running at him. Now he's penetrating the lane. And we talked about earlier, he's a good decision maker with the ball. He can make that open pass. He could get into there and pivot, left hand, right hand. And he has the advantage at that. So I think that just being at that 4 position, he's going to get a lot of open looks. He's going to get a lot of pick and pops. He's going to get a lot of, drive and kicks to where he could space out to that corner. And then we see every game, they start out with that elbow play for him. They pass to that left elbow, and then that guy comes off for that handoff, and he kind of has that whole side to just go. And then a few times what he did is gets it on the elbow, and then he dribbles it back out to the 3. To now where that big guy has to come and defend. And then if he doesn't come up, then we talked about that's where he knocks down that 3. So Jimmy's been playing great, man. He's been playing great so far. I think it's just on that defensive end where we need to lock in. It's been that corner 3, it's been that short corner right there, and that's all the guys. But again, it'll pick up as the season goes.
All right, final burning question here, then we'll get out of here. Will this team make the NCAA tournament? I think I know your answer, but I guess just sort of prognosticate where you think they're going to finish in the ACC and sort of the keys to the rest of the season.
The keys are defense and rebounding, right? I mean, if Indiana doesn't turn the ball over 25 times, we lose the game, no question. So they kind of threw us some right there, right, giving us 25 turnovers. But going forward, we can't let teams continue to score 100 points. That can't be the
Not
case.
Sustainable.
That can't be the case. And we need to do a better job of guarding the 3-point line. I think, these teams are getting up a lot of threes. I think this is the most threes that Syracuse has given up in a while, as far as just attempts. If you shoot 53s, you better make at least 15 as a team. You know what I mean? It's you're playing the percentages. So I'd be dumb to go against Coach Beiheim and say that we're not going to win, that we're not going to make the NCAA tournament. I mean, we've seen the past, 4 or 5 years that in the beginning we're like, this team this isn't a Syracuse team.
We do it every year. I don't know why people still do it though, because Beiheim figures it out. And I mean, look, maybe you'd rather them do a little bit better in the regular season than what they have recently, but give me the team that's trending in the right direction late in the year versus early in the year for sure.
I mean, it's all about progression, especially when you got guys who are having new roles, guys who are just trying to figure out the zone. It's going to be a lot of ups and downs early on. And that's how coach knows that. He's not stupid. He knows that he's playing these teams early on to be like, all right, let's see where we're at against these type of teams, against these top teams, and then, going forward, we can make the adjustments. We could do what we have to do to continue to get better. But we're going to make the NCAA tournament. I mean, I wouldn't expect anything less. This team is just going to get better. Are we going to have games where We might lose by 10 to 15. We probably have another one like that in ACC. You might like Duke or North. Those are tough teams right there.
Yeah.
Like those have NBA players on those teams, so it's going to be tough. But same game, we might be in there where we win by 10. We're going to see a game where these guys hit, Cole has 5 threes, Buddy has 6 threes, Jimmy has 4, Joe has 4. So we haven't even seen that yet. These guys are just trying to get accustomed to their roles. We're trying to figure out what unit, kind of works cohesively on the defensive side, and then where we could execute offensively. And then another thing, a big thing for me is obviously this comes from the rebounding, but we got to do a better job of pushing the pace and getting out in transition. And I say it every time, the great Syracuse teams are always great in transition. And I think especially for this team, it helps us because when we get in the half court, we don't have that guy right now who could really just kind of break you down and go.
Yeah.
And Buddy, like we said, Buddy did a great job at the end of the game against Indiana. He did a great job of using his body. He's not a guy who's really going to get by you with it.
No.
But he can create that angle to where when he uses his body, he has enough space at that 6'6" frame to where he's going to get his shot off. And usually it's either a foul or it's a make. But we need to be able to push the ball in transition and space the floor. Now, if we get it ahead, those are easy shots for our shooters. We can't continually go through the season where these guys are just contested shot every single time. That's tough to play like that. So I think if we could clean it up on the rebounding end, start being more physical there, now we can start running a little bit. And now this kind of just helps our overall game.
Yeah, that transition's a really good point, because in that VCU game in particular, it kind of hit me like, man, this offense, and that's a great defense. Don't get me wrong. VCU is holding teams to like 50 points, but if you're going to go on a run in the NCAA tournament, if you're going to, exceed expectations, you got to be able to beat certain style of team that is tight on the ball, tight pressure. Like Joe kind of struggled at times, and then it just felt like we couldn't get by guys in that game. And that's where the weaknesses of the offense kind of shine through. But if you're in transition, and like you hit on earlier, Buddy's really only getting clean looks in transition from 3. Cole Swider, that's where they can start running it up a little bit and start, playing instinctive and making shots in transition. I think that would really help this team. I also think the defense, I mean, obviously it has a long ways to go right now, but it's only going to get better, you would imagine. Yeah. And I don't know. I think the ACC is a little bit easier than it has been in the past. There's still Duke at the top, who might be as good as anyone in the country. UNC looks really good last night. As of us recording this, they beat Michigan. But, I think there's a lot of games to be won in sort of that middle pack of the ACC. And if they start clicking, start figuring things out, just got to get the defense a little better. And then I like your transition point there as well.
And then too, Tim, to your point about that pressure, we definitely have to figure out a way to handle the pressure, because we're not going to get in transition every single time. So yeah, I liked what they were doing against Indiana, kind of releasing the pressure, kind of leaving Jimmy up there to set that half ball screen, or just getting that defender's way to where we could release that pressure a little bit. It's hard for 40 minutes to play against that, bringing the ball up every time. And now I have to make a decision. What Joe has to do a better job of is just go. Don't play with the ball side to side. Just go ahead, go and get to your spot. And now you can get into your pick and roll, or you can pass it and cut through, and make a decision. And like you said, in the tournament time, we're going to be going against that pressure. Teams know. I mean, Indiana's not a pressure team, but they knew that
Florida State is. Honestly, that's Saturday. I mean, I could see them pressing.
Oh yeah, absolutely they will. But my point to where Indiana, they knew that we struggle with that pressure a little bit. So they're going to test us. We're in, 2, 3, 4 turnovers just off that could change the whole game. So I think, just us learning how to handle that pressure a little bit better. And then, like you said, being able to get in transition, because now if we're getting in transition, we don't have to handle that pressure. We don't have to go against that pressure, but if we have to do it every time at half court, that's hard, man. That's hard to play against a set defense every time in half court. I don't care what team you are, you have to execute flawlessly every single time to really get a good shot, because these teams are too good now defensively, and their game plan, they're locked in. They know what these guys' habits are on the offensive end. And they're going to make sure they're doing their part, because if they're not, their coach is going to take them out of the game. So it's just big for us to try to get in that transition to where it could relieve the pressure of us from that half court offense and having to go against that every single time. And then also relieving the pressure, we can get out. Now they can't pressure us.
Yeah. And one thing that's encouraging with Joe he struggled in the first half. I think he had 4 turnovers in the first half against Indiana against the pressure. Then he plays basically all of the second half and the 2 overtimes, and he had 1 more turnover the rest of the game. And that's it. That's what we need, because he was doing a better job of getting it up the court, getting other guys involved. And I don't know, I think he improved a lot in that game, which was encouraging. And he's been going up against some tight pressure for a while. These past 3 or 4 games, like Auburn was doing the same thing. But you said it, even if it's a team that isn't known for that type of stuff, like VCU is known for that. And I think if you're an opponent right now, if you're Florida State, if you're Georgetown, some of these upcoming opponents, you watch back that VCU film and you're probably like, oh, like maybe we should try and incorporate some of this against Syracuse because it worked.
Yeah, and Joe, he's a guy. Just go. Like, don't
Yep.
play with the ball. Just go ahead and get by. And like we said, get to your spot and then see what you got from there. Once you start playing with the ball against a good defender, he wants you to do that. Once you start turning your back, going, and we've seen Joe and Buddy do it a few times where they go drive and try to turn their back. Now that other guy's waiting for him, and then they strip it. We saw, Johnson get Joe a couple times at Auburn doing that. You can't turn your back on those guys. You can't do it. They're too good of defenders. They're too good of a team defense. They're going to have another guy there for you. Just go ahead, Joe, get by. But again, I like keeping that guy up there, Jimmy or Jesse, somebody, just to kind of relieve that pressure. And now let's get it over half court. Now I can kind of breathe a little bit. And then we could just play. But yeah, Joe's done a great job, man. People are going to be on him. That's just how Syracuse fans are. They're going to be on him. But, a subpar first half. And then for the rest of the game, played his butt off, hit some big shots, took care of the ball, made some good passes. And we saw Joe make some good passes this season. He's made some good lob passes, him and Buddy. We haven't mentioned Buddy's averaging 6 assists.
Yeah, he had 8 last game, which overtime helps, but yeah.
Exactly. So, these guys are better playmakers than people give them credit for. But again, just get to your spot. Don't play with the ball. And Joe's he's not a natural one, I guess, right? He's not he's a scoring guard, so it's hard to adjust on the fly. Like, even though he's a junior, I don't care. He's a natural scorer. So it's tough to be able to bring the ball up against the pressure every single time and make decisions doing that and making the right decisions, because you only get a few seconds to make that read and make the decision before it's gone. So, man, Joe's been doing good, and he'll continue to get better, going forward.
Yeah. Well, that's the 6 burning questions I got. We got some big games coming up here. Villanova, Florida State on Saturday. We mentioned that big Georgetown game, which isn't what it used to be, but it's still fun. Still at Georgetown. Still want to win that. And I'm sure we'll get back on here soon and sort of break it down some more. But those are the 6 burning questions I got for today.
Awesome. Yeah, it's a tough schedule going forward. Florida State, Villanova, Georgetown. But I think this team, like we talked about, they'll continue to get better and better. And then we'll come back and recap it again. And next week we'll have a great guest on. But I appreciate everybody coming on, listening to me and my guy Tim recap the Indiana and kind of the beginning of the Syracuse season.